welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness. All right, well, welcome to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, where you're with us every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and today's no different. I thank you for joining us. Today we won't have Don Getling with us. He's on a well-deserved vacation for a couple of weeks, and while I'm running the show, usually we do things a little bit differently.
A lot more professionally, probably.
No, actually, it's quite the opposite.
Hey, he's not here. We can have some real fun today.
Exactly. So if you recognize that voice, that's because it's Bob Kellar. Not only has Bob been a member of our community that protects us, is the way I look at it. I know that we're all busy doing what we do, and we need people like Bob in our lives to protect us, to make sure that our laws are in the right places, to make sure that our community stays clean. And look, I've only been here since 2007, and I can never imagine leaving this place. So thank you for your service.
Well, it's been a real honor, and I will tell you, we're not done yet.
I like that. I like that. It's never over, is it?
Never. Absolutely not.
And, you know, I don't think there's – and I have had a couple of conversations with other people this week about, you know, once you achieve a certain goal, you set the next one. That's what successful people do. There is no just satisfaction in just saying, I'm done. It's very difficult to get to that. My dad is 68 years old, and he just won't throw in the towel. And I remember my grandpa was 72 when he finally started slowing down, and 78 when he finally said, all right, I'm done. And then after that, I don't think any human being in the world should watch as much soccer as my grandfather watched the last like 10 or 12 years.
Hey, you know what? We're always creating a new chapter in the book.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
So speaking of chapters, we were discussing before the show started a little bit is, you know, we're struggling with inventory here. And I know it sounds like a broken record. I think we've been talking about inventory since 2010 maybe is when the first couple times that we started seeing an indication that that was going to be an issue. And so we've got, I think, really unique economic conditions, not only here in the Santa Clarita Valley, but, you know, nationwide and globally, because we've got a president that's doing things differently than the last administration. Good, bad, or indifferent, but differently, no matter what, and what impact that's going to have on our economy going forward. And you know, the biggest thing we're struggling with is affordability and price pressure, and that's being driven by the lack of inventory. Right, supply and demand still exists. It's been number one economic rule for all of history. So if we have no supply and we have a lot of demand, prices are going to continue to rise.
They can't help but do that, and you're absolutely right about that, Gino. It's interesting as we reflect on this issue, the dynamics, if you will. You just made comment about how it is on a national basis and a world basis. I mean, for those of us that are a little older, I'm 74. Yeah, I guess I'm old enough to be your Paul. But having said that, When I was a young man, you know, you really talked about local and at best national news. Today, it's a world news, and the world has significantly changed. And you're absolutely right. And things that had measurement 50 years ago are totally different today. And when we talk about the housing shortage and so forth, look at how our numbers have expanded. It's absolutely incredible as we reflect back, and I can at least 65 years or so, and from when Newhall was the only place out here in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Yeah.
And I think I touched upon this once before. If you went to Saugus, there was no misunderstanding. You were going to the Saugus Speedway. That's what it meant. You were going to the Saugus Speedway. That's all there was in that regard. Today, we're the third largest city in L.A. County. We're at about 225,000, and we are soon to be about 245,000 with a couple of more annexations that are on the drawing board coming into the city out of the county area. So, yes, things have changed significantly, and we do have a very significant one here, not just in Santa Clarita, but throughout L.A. County, throughout the state of California, and clear across America.
And so one of the things that I see happening, and the reason I think cities like Santa Clarita are going to continue to expand, is because we're now able to, with technology, we've now been able to allow people to work from home. And we didn't have that 20 years ago. We weren't comfortable as employers with that. Hey, they're not going to do their job if we let them work from home. Well, we found now that they do, and that they do it fairly well. Not everybody, but those that have the skill sets and talents get the opportunity to do so. So with that, there's no more need to be close to downtown LA. There's no more need to be in Woodland Hills. There's no more need to be in these centralized meccas of employment, because now you could possibly work from home and still be 30 to 40 minutes away. You can't be 3 hours away. You got to be at a distance where you could still visit the office once a week or twice a week or once a month, whatever it takes. But that allows cities that are just outside the center of town to start to expand, and I see that that's going to allow this city to continue growing.
Oh, I don't think there's any stopping it. I really don't. And you know, we've got a special dilemma here. It's a little bit unique, if I may say, particularly here in the state of California, where a lot of people are wanting to get out of California for a variety of reasons, and taxation is probably the primary one. But here in Santa Clarita, we're so very fortunate. We've got a great city here. Comparatively speaking, we're the envy of a bunch of cities up and down the state of California. Santa Clarita, holy cow, how did they do it? And you know what? It's been very fine management, predominantly coming out of our city manager's office and the great employees we have here at the city, and also the very caring and involved community that we have. So as a result of this, we are a very desirable place for families want to come here. The schools are good. The air quality, comparatively speaking, is very good. Yeah. The amenities, the arts, it goes on and on and on. So, you know, caring, thinking, capable families are coming to Santa Clarita, and our town continues to grow.
So how do we continue and not let that fall apart, right? Because I think that's what ends up happening. It's just like any business, right? We're going to have growing pains. We're going to suffer through some of those growing pains. As you expand, how do you control crime? And this is where maybe other cities have gone wrong and not controlled it appropriately. You know, I for example, I own some property in North Hollywood, and I grew up in North Hollywood. I've known North Hollywood for 40 years. I have never seen a homeless problem like we have today in North Hollywood. It is crazy to me that the city management there has allowed it to happen, because it just wasn't like that, and now it's happening. So how do we avoid those types of issues here? And I know that's what, you know, all of our team is working on. I know we've got great people, but as we expand, the faster you expand, just like any business, it's hard to control those things. How do you keep the schools being great? How do you keep the infrastructure for the streets and the lights and the restaurants and all the things it takes to run a great city? How do we scale appropriately?
You know, your question is right on the mark, and it's very hard to give an answer to it without probably cracking a few eggs. And I'm very sincere about that.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the things that we need to look at is what were we doing 50 years ago when we did not have these problems? And what have we changed in our approach that has created much of this? And I will tell you, if nothing else that I would tell young people today, listen to me, young people. Don't buy everything you hear at some of these educational centers. Wake up, pay attention, and get to educate yourself to know the facts of the matter. The values and the principles that made this country great are largely being eradicated and taken away. And it has given us problems that are beyond belief. Today it is thought, and people that there's generations now that are saying here, no, government owes it to me. I'm always, every time I hear an ad on the radio where they say, you deserve this. You don't deserve anything. You deserve one thing, to live in this great country and go to work and be a responsible person and do your part as an American citizen and make sure this country stays the land of opportunity, not a free ride. Those are the kinds of values and principles that made this country great. The more we chip away at those and decide, oh no, we're going to be more socialistic and we're going to give, then we are going to continue to go down, 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 down. And that's just the reality of it. A lot of people will take me on over that, and they can do whatever they choose. But I tell you, I do know. I've been around long enough to have experienced and watched this mess come about.
No. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we get back. I love your passion, but I've got some things to talk about there, and I'm going to use a couple of different examples. A couple of them are global examples. Being that I'm from Argentina, we can talk about how that's how what's happened there since the mid-'70s. And the other one is San Francisco. You don't have to go very far to see what happens when rules go away. When we get back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.